private, unlisted, to give certain people that it's not. I created on my YouTube channel, so you can turn off the comments. You can make it however you want. And Zoom has an API with YouTube, so you can be in one session in Zoom and then convert to YouTube. I want to see if there's a connection. Sometimes there's not a connection. You should be subscribing to each other's channel, so when they go live, you should get some information that I go live. Okay, so I see that through my YouTube live, I'm able to see that Daniel came in. And I see here, and everyone else is getting on. Show captions. Okay. Transcript I want, and everything. Okay, any questions before we begin? So, anybody know what happened with Apple today? What was new on Apple? Raise your hand if you heard anything on Apple. What did you hear then? Doug, did you hear anything about Apple doing any announcements? If you didn't, what can you do? You can basically search to see what were the announcements in Apple today.
iPhone 16.
What?
iPhone 16.
iPhone 16. So who cares? They want to have money, right? They want us to upgrade our phones, right? Our watches, our iPods. Right now, they're going to do the iPod that you see. It's going to be not only will they give you a hearing test, but it will be from listening to all that loud music, it will be a hearing aid. Okay, so what's the big deal, Ethan? What did you find out was the big deal there?
So I didn't look into it. I just looked it up just now.
Okay, we'll look into it today together. But basically, they're trying to incorporate what? Ethan, even we know. What would they try? What's the biggest buzzword? 2 letters. Ethan. What would be the 2 letter, Ethan John? Starts with an A. That's a hint. 2 letters. AI, right? It's going to be, they got to incorporate AI somewhere there, right? Siri has always been on the little slow side, mentally challenged, right, for me, right? So I need to upgrade, right, the intelligence, right, of Siri and so forth. Other parts, it's a little bit, the whole idea, it's a little bit scary, but their whole thrust was, we're going to have AI, but it's going to be private. Don't worry, we're not going to look at your data. Don't worry, we're not going to share your data. And guess what? They're telling us the iPhone then has what? It's going to have a new chipset. And last week, JC, we talked about a couple of terms here. What did we talk about? We talked about the CPU. You remember that, JC? We talked about the CPU, we talked about primary storage, and we talked about what? Secondary storage. And that CPU is on a chip. You think the new iPhone then, Ethan John, has a new chip? Right? What do you think? Does it have a new chip? Of course it does, right? They're going to have to do it. And what are they trying to do? Inside that chip, they're trying to have not only a CPU, a GPU, which is graphics, and what they call it NPU, neural processing. So they're trying to do a lot of that AI on the chip itself. Okay, so we'll go into that as well. Any other questions? So I don't have, everyone is required to have your face shown unless you've gotten permission otherwise. Otherwise, all webcams are down. Aaron, did you look at the new announcement from Apple?
I did, yeah. It's cool. Actually, it's pretty mid, but
what?
They didn't add much. They just added an extra button on the side for the camera.
Yeah, Yeah, and a lot of the things are not available just yet.
Yeah.
So they're going to be in the future, but they're hoping. And you can order now, though. You can pre-order just in case. You can do that. Okay, so we'll talk about it. So Jared and Frank and Connor and Sienna and Ashton. Any other questions? And Daniel, did you do we have that second assignment set up?
Yeah, everything is there.
Okay, so we're ready to go. Anything else I need to do? So
They
live.
added colors to the AirPod Maxes. Some
Okay,
revolution.
right. Okay, revolution for color. We'll look at their chipset. Maybe we'll look at their new chipset and see what's happening in their chipset. So I have Robert and Jared and Sienna. I don't need to tell anyone about that, right? We can have it. So let me share my screen, and if you see, we have the screen here. So many times when Daniel basically looks at even the YouTube of who's here, what's happening, you can see here, it's since we're using the use Zoom, it says powered by the U. So we have that up and going. Okay. So let me go to my part where I have my Zoom and what's due. Okay. So let me turn this off here, and I see the same things you did. So if I always go to the what's due, I see today is Monday, September 9th. If I looked at the announcements, we said that the group and individual assignments were extended until today. And then if I look at what's due, under what's due, last week was tech hardware, and this Wednesday is tech guide software. So I want to make sure that you can do the same thing. Some folks were having some problems with tech guide 2. You can see if you're having issues, a lot of times the server's coming from where, Aaron? When you do Wiley, where is it running from? Blackboard server?
At Wiley's, right?
Wiley server, and Wiley could have issues too. And Wiley has some issues in that new announcement. I'm even having some issues. So you need to go to Wiley Plus and check with them sometimes to see what the issue is. So the tech guide is on software, the same thing of the Wiley readings that we talked last time. We talked about the tech guide hardware. So if you go to the tech guide hardware, there's an error where I have to go to my bookshelf. I don't know if you need to do that. And then I go, and one of the things that I'm thinking about is in the tech guide glossary at the end of each chapter, you can see there's terms here. And let me just go to this for instance, if I go to, we covered last time the microprocessor, the CPU, the ALU. We talked about RAM. How much RAM do you have in your computer? How much secondary storage do you have on your computer? We talked about the computer memory. We talked about RAM being a part of what we call primary storage. We talked about secondary storage. Secondary storage is what we call being non-volatile. You remember that? JC, what does non-volatile mean? What do you think it means, non-volatile secondary storage, JC?
Like it doesn't get rid of the
Right,
storage.
it remains, right? If I say somebody's volatile, it means that they're on and off, right? It's almost non-volatile means that it stays. RAM, when we're running a program, for instance, if I'm running a program like the PowerPoint is being copied to my RAM. I make any changes, it has to be saved into secondary storage. We talked about it before of secondary storage. We talked about that. So if I'm on my part here of the summary, what I suggest a lot of times, there's so many terms here. People were asking me, for instance, even Clark was saying, how should I even study here? With all of these terms, what I would do is go to the summary, Clark, at the end of every chapter and see if I understand, you know, the hardware components, various types of the computer hierarchy, input and output, and then look at those glossary of terms. So this would be on both of those. And then the second chapter is on software. So I know that the second chapter is about software, and you can then download in the PowerPoint, along with chapter 1 that we discovered, you can download software for chapter 2. So we got for TG, Tech Guide 1 of being the hardware, and basically the main thing in the hardware there is my CPU. I have something called a CPU, you remember, that's my central processing unit. That's kind of the brains. And then I talked about GPU, and that stands for what, Aaron?
Graphics processing unit.
Yeah, graphical processing unit. And what's the difference, you think, Aaron?
One's for like smarter tasks and CPU, and that like directs all the flows of the computer and like what it
Right, and
does.
here we're dealing about more the graphics. So instead of putting all the emphasis on the central processing unit, they have another processing unit called the graphics, and a lot of the gaming you can think about, some of even the artificial intelligence is being done there. And then they have something called an NPU. Have you heard of that?
Neural processing unit.
Yeah, neural processing unit. And that's where a lot of the Gen AI processing is being done. And the new iPhone chipset, I think it's chip 18 or something that they call it, their new chipset, gets what they have in there. Not only the CPU and GPU, they have neural processing within their new chip, Aaron. So in that case, Aaron, they're having the neural processing. So they're saying what they want in the future, and now is they're going to have some AI features. So they're going to be doing some neural processing within the phone. And what's the problem with the phone, Aaron? It's what? It has limited what?
Battery, size, computing
limited
power.
RAM,
Yeah.
right?
Everything. Yeah.
And secondary storage, right? It's not going to be, it's even less than what I have usually on my laptop, right? So it's basically less. They've now increased the RAM, right? And if we looked at, even in this case, if we, let me go here. If I think about my set here, even if I then talked about what? iPhone 16 chip set. Right, that they what will the chip have? It's called A18, right? And they said that A18 Max, namely, will run an 18 Pro and 1 that they'll have. And basically, what will it have in this case? The A, basically, this is going to be the ones in which they're going to, the iPhone have A or A18. It's going to have then, starting with, you can see even a number. Let's see how they're saying it'll have a new chipset, unveils with a new chipset, that they'll be able to have a new chipset with even starting with notice with 8 gig of RAM, and then it can go up to, the secondary storage can be higher. So they'll talk about each of these on this iPhone 16 with what they call A18 chipset. What gets confusing here, it's an iPhone 16, but it has a A18 Pro chip. They don't go, together on it. So they'll be able to see specs leak, but it's not leaked anymore because it's being confirmed already. So it basically, you can think about it. We don't need to have any rumors anymore. This is the secret. It has everything you need to know. So 2 hours ago, you can see that everybody's doing those series here. They're equipped here, utilizing basically their new design. Okay, so you're able to see that. Questions? So you had that central processing unit, you had the hardware, everybody checked that. So now if I look at my PowerPoint and I think about this, the whole idea here is going to be talking about not the hardware, but the operating system. And you all know what software is, that you can think about it in the computer programs, is the idea that you have to differentiate between what we call system software and application software. So if I think about system software, this is the best diagram that I have. I have the hardware that we talked about. And then we talk about systems software and application software. What's the difference and who cares? So Aaron, what's another word for system software?
Is that OS?
Yeah. A lot of times you hear OS. Sometimes you hear the word operating systems. And each hardware device needs what? It needs an operating system, requires an operating system. You can install it, usually comes by the manufacturer, at least one operating system. Sometimes on one device, you can use many operating systems. So what computer are you using right now, Aaron, to log in?
I'm using a MacBook Pro.
A MacBook Pro. So what we need to do, and this is required for everyone in the class, including you, Cam, is everybody has to figure out is what operating system are you using? So basically, just like we were asking how much RAM, right, and how much hard drive, right, JC? Now you need to search what operating system are you using? So Ethan, John, like everyone else here in the class, you need to search what operating system are you using? And you may have several operating systems on your machine, on your device, or you may just have one operating system on your device. So did you look it up, Cam?
Is the operating system like Mac or Windows, or is it like the
exactly, you got it. So you need to know whether you're using, a lot of times you'll hear you have a Mac OS and there's different versions of a Mac OS, right? And then you'll have a Windows, there's different versions of a Windows, and who cares? It's not just to talk about it in parties that somebody's going to ask you, but it just certain application software runs, for instance, only on a Mac OS or on a Windows. And does your phone have an OS then, Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah, any device with the CPU has an operating system, right? You can have on your phone, you can have what? iOS, you can have an Android, right? All of these are, you can have Linux. If I could spell, it'd be good. You can have a lot of different operating systems. Some are what we call open source or not. So what you're required to do, and you'll be required to do, is what operating system do you have on your laptop? What operating system do you have on your phone, right? What version that you have? Elena, did you look up what computer are you using right now to log in?
I'm on a Mac, so I'm also the Mac OS.
Okay, what kind? What version? What number? So that's what you want to look up. So everybody look up exactly what version you're using. You know that if you're on a Mac, can you have a Windows on a Mac? It's possible, right? You can have several. You can use it. You can have what we call a virtual operating system. So Dalton, did you look up what version you have?
Yeah, I got the Mac OS Big Sur.
Big Sur. They basically took places, it looks like, in California. Have you ever been to Big Sur in California? It's beautiful.
I haven't.
One of my favorite places, Big Sur. It's tremendous. They don't have any landslides or anything like that. It's gorgeous. So they've taken a number of places in the world, including California, that it's in little bit northern California that they had. Okay, so basically we have this. So if I look at, so the operating system basically is the brain. It's also, I cannot use a computer unless I have an operating system. The operating system allows one to run apps, and you all know what apps are, or applications. It will be able to store things on my secondary storage. When I call up a program like PowerPoint, it will be able in the background to take PowerPoint slides from my hard drive and put it into the CPU, into memory, into RAM. Then when I save it, wherever I'm going to save it, either to the cloud or to my hard drive, it will give me directions to save that. That's all. I cannot run the computer. It runs it as a system. Think about that word. OS means operating systems. That operating systems means that it will basically be like the conductor. Saves files, loads programs, connects to a printer. Right, uploads. So I can do that all with an operating system, and that has to match the application. So when I think about it, that's the system software. So put in your notes, another word for system software is operating systems. Another word for operating systems is OS. You know the term because you know I'm using iOS on my phone. In this case, I'm using my Mac OS, or I'm using my Windows. My Windows also has different versions, Windows 10, Windows 11. And then I have application software where those are my apps. Those are my apps. We know even right now, I'm using my apps of PowerPoint. That's the whole idea here. And then the issues here is there could be software defects, there's software licensing, There's what we call open systems, open source software, where the code is visible. Many times it's free and it's community-based. So we talk about the graphical interface, the user interface, the application software. So in the application software, you're familiar with it. The application software, the version must match the operating system. So if I'm running an application that runs Windows 10 or Windows, and you have Mac, there's going to be an issue with that. And we have to figure out either each of you are going to have to install a Windows operating system, or what we can do is remotely go in, connect to a server that's running Windows. So we can have cloud computing that will allow us to run another server using different operating systems. That's what people are doing now. Instead of updating, they're using what we call the cloud, basically using another server in another location, and via a browser we get to those other locations. So that is what we're talking about in terms of personal applications. Questions? So Johan, what operating system are you using on your machine? Johan, did you hear me? You're waiting. Okay, so you need to know. Julian, what did you find?
I also have the Big Sur Mac OS.
Okay, and does it give you a number?
Yeah, 11.2.3.
Okay. So, and sometimes they need to be updated. You have to kind of figure out how it needs to be updated. What are the issues there? So if I go to my, you can see here, if I go to my iPhone Pro, right? Notice then in this case, these are the new, they have new finishes. They have an iPhone Pro, 16 Pro, and they have an iPhone 16 Pro Max. And they say latest generation, of course, they always have such nice designs, Mac, and these capacities here. You think this, in this case, if I look at this, Aaron, do you think that this capacity here is talking about primary storage or secondary storage?
Secondary.
Secondary. The capacity of these iPhone for RAM is 8 gig, which doesn't sound that big, but the version before was 6 gigs. So you know that my phone had less memory versus some of us were having 64 gig or 32 gig. There's still going to be some limitation on being able to do generative AI, don't you think? In this case, even with their neural, and what will they probably have to do, Aaron, is do what? Go to the cloud and do some of the processing in the cloud and bring it back. So they'll be going back and forth to another server, to an Apple server somewhere to do the calculations. And what Apple is trying to tell us is that it will be secure. We won't use your data. We won't see your data. And then they make us feel secure. And then you can have third parties. Did you see that, Daniel? They'll say that there are going to be third parties to check on us. You can audit us to make sure we're not using your data. So
it seems fairly reasonable,
right,
but it's still you sending your data elsewhere.
yeah,
So there's
right,
still a vulnerability.
right. It's a vulnerability, but you know, life is like that. you know?
But as far as actually implementing a secure file transfer to the cloud, this makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
so this is the tendency. This is what this is what companies are being cautious about. This is what people are being cautious about of having their issues. But you can see here that you can see that this capacity, now when you look at this, Clark, you see this when you look right here. If I ask you a question here with such large space, you would know that this is considered to be the secondary storage in the phones. When you see like 1 terabyte or 512 or 256, notice the Pro even just starts at 256 to be able to do some of the processing, to make it quick, to do all those sizes. And then they talk about the displays. And then here, notice right here is, why am I doing it? It's just like we were talking about before. The only difference is what, Sebastian, is this is my phone rather than last week we were talking about our laptops. It's A18 Pro chip, and it says here new 6-core CPU, 2 performance, and new core GPU, my graphics it has, and then it says new 16-core neural engine. It's basically in that neural engine, that's where it's going to be doing the AI. You see that, Sebastian? So it's the same thing, and I'm sure their new Mac Pro that's going to come out, I bet you it'll have a neural engine too. What do you think? You know, everything they're going to be trying to do to make it also, they're a little behind the times in terms of getting intelligence, and whether it's intelligence or not, definitely Apple knows investors like the word intelligence and they're putting it in. So this is basically, and this will be put in probably step by step. Not everything is here, but I just wanted to show you that that is the part. And then they'll talk about those basically video recordings that they'll talk about, right? And their true depth. What's my peace of mind? Oh, that I can, if I don't have, I can go via satellite if I get my car stuck in some ditch somewhere in location, video calling, I can do my FaceTime, audio calling, Siri. Now Siri is going to try to look at me and do everyday tasks when it's going around, sending messages, sending reminders, telling me, you know, who do I want to send pictures to, what happened, and trying to make it great. And it's powering the battery, sensors, and look at this, right, Sebastian? The operating system. And what does OS stand for? Of course, we know OS stands for operating system. My new phone has a new operating system called 18, and basically they want it to be secure, and they want what's new. And if I click on what's new, got yours truly watch the event, but there's basically going to be introducing Apple Intelligence, which draws on your personal context to give you intelligence that's what's helpful and relevant. So it's going to learn about you and basically do a lot of like the Chat GPT, the OpenAI. They'll have writing tools built in, creating images. You can do your own, what do they call it? Genmojis instead of just Moji here. I can customize it'll help me look for app icons, being part of my iOS and trying to be intelligent. It's going to try to organize all my messages, right, that I stake together, scheduling, saying I'm late for an appointment when I'm always late, right, and all my transactions. But I just wanted to show you that part is just like what we had before. Questions? Okay. So we stop sharing here. And we have everyone that needs to show their picture. Any questions on that? So a good way to think about that, Clark, is that at the end of every chapter, just read that glossary and those that summary, and then we know that the main points in terms of hardware, and then the software then is the operating system. Any device we have, it gets upgraded, and guess what? The operating system then, as we keep on going, what do we need? We need more primary storage to be able to process, and we need to have more secondary, and then we even want to have more processors. The regular central processing unit, the graphical, and now what they call the NPU, the neural, to be able to do the generative. Because what's generative AI is taking huge amounts of data and trying to find the patterns and trying to do predictions. Just like when I use the chat GPT, I'm using it from the server. A lot of that is trying to come down to the computer, and then parts, when it doesn't have enough processing, it goes to the cloud to get some of its help. And what people are concerned about is sharing my data with others, to keeping that private. That's where we're going from now. So one of the things that I talked about before, once we start getting into all of our projects, is we always are going to have issues. I get emails every day from you, and I appreciate it. A number of you, especially when you send it to me, you can CC it also to Daniel as well. And there are issues that sometimes I can help you with, sometimes Daniel can help you with, and sometimes it's out of our hands, right? Because what are we doing? It's not just our computers that we're running, we're using other people's servers, and it's beyond us. So one of the things is you need to be able to document. And that's what I'm showing you. And in Zoom, what was the problem? In Zoom, not everything was being able to document. Our control panels, when we went into breakout rooms, it wasn't being able to record. So a number of things were not being able to record. So what's a solution to that? Any ideas? Raise your hand if you have an idea that some things in Zoom, when we record, we were not able to record it. We got a black screen. So what can we do about it? Antonio, what do you think? Did you have that issue?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, my question is, sometimes in Zoom, when I record in Zoom, for instance, I have a control panel that even when I share my screen, you cannot see my control panel. You know, where it says chat, it says pause, it says go to YouTube. That portion you do not see. So the question is, if I want to record that, how can I record that? Zoom doesn't allow me. It's almost like Zoom doesn't allow you to record its own features. Did you know that?
Maybe.
Maybe. Good. Any ideas? Aaron, what do you think? What's the solution to that?
For what? Sorry.
To be able to, some things on Zoom, for instance, on the bottom of my control panel, when I share my screen on the bottom of my control panel, you don't see my control panel.
I mean, I don't think that's a problem. Why should I see your control panel, you know?
Because sometimes I want to teach you how
Oh.
That's why. What do you think, Dalton?
You could just like pull a Google image of what the control panel looks
Right,
like.
I could take a picture of it, right? What else? Anybody else?
You you could walk it through them like step by step.
But how could they
Like
see
take
it?
them to the apps. They
If you
just
can't see
they get on their own Zoom. Like you tell them to get on their own.
Right, they can
and
get
then
on
from
their
there,
own.
Yeah, you do it step by
Okay,
step.
and if they don't, okay, what else? Dalton, you have another idea, or you just left your hand up? What else? I could use another screen recording program and record on top of it.
Like OBS, maybe?
Like OBS, exactly. Excellent. So my next assignment for you is I want each person in your group to find a free recording program that is different from the others in your group. So what you could do, let me share my screen. So for instance, let me move this a bit. Can you see my screen? For instance, if you Google or anywhere else or go to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever and look for free screen recording software, and I want free, at least one version is free, and you could even put depending on what operating system you have. And these are lists. This is part of the list. You can take even a picture of this as well, or you can do it yourself. Free screen recording software, and OBS is one, screen recorders another one, Screen-O-Matic, Loom. Look, there's so many different ones. There's Camtasia, there's QuickTime. You can see best free screen recorders. So I want each person in your group to find a different screen recorder. And what I like, if you're familiar, for instance, with one, you could choose another one just for you to be familiar with. And I'd like each person as an individual assignment to do a short review using their software that they get, and using it, they can even combine it with Zoom and discuss the pros and cons of this software. Why do I want each of you to do it? Because each of these softwares have different pros and cons to it. For instance, Loom will record it on their server. Some will allow you to do it what we call on your computer. Sometimes I don't want to do it on someone else's computer. Sometimes I don't even have internet access, but I want to record. So each person will do their own, record a short, less than 5 minutes, describing almost as if you were doing a tutorial and also like a software review. And then what I want you to do as a group project, come together on Zoom and using one of these software on top and share with each other what you were doing, give kind of an overview of it. And let me go to my assignment instructions. And here's my assignment instructions of screen recording assignments. You know, this would be good as another folder, right? Daniel, is that correct? You have it as another folder, right, for assignment. And in this case, it's broken down to an individual screen recording assignment. This assignment will help you become familiar with your choice of recording software and many features. In there, can you add also that they discuss what operating system it works on? And the
that's in the assignment itself.
Okay, but just make sure that you discuss then what operate, and then they can even put that as a little summary. You know, once they upload their screen, they can put it as a summary right there that we can see what did they actually use, what were the pros and cons, kind of like a little summary. Later on, it would be nice is that for AI, like Zoom and other ones and Otter can basically take your little video and then write up a description that you don't have to do it. It can do its summary. And then the next one is once you do that, then in the assignment, you will share your choice of recording software with the group. And you'll be recording that using one of the softwares plus using Zoom. And you can record it even to somebody. You can even record it to YouTube, to your channel, to somebody's channel, just to see how it works. So on the group assignment, everyone will be speaking. You'll put in who, and basically in that group assignment, put in the group assignment. I don't know if you do, with their name plus which software they used. That would be good. So you
Yeah,
have
that's
it
there.
right next to it. So which system they would use. So this is due for, did we say when that's due?
Yeah, it's due on next Monday,
Where is that
so
written?
the 16th, I believe. That's written in what's due assignment 4,
Okay,
or like week 4, I guess. I don't know. Assignment group 4.
okay, good. The 16th, a week from here.
Yeah. Assignment's
A
4.
week
There
from
it is.
today?
A week from today.
Okay, so then I have to make chapter 5 available too, right?
That's already available.
Oh, it is both.
Just the quiz is not available
Which quiz is not available?
for chapter 5.
You want to make that available?
I can, sure. Just usually you like to do.
Okay, you want me to, let's just make that available. I can make it available. Chapter 5 for next week. Let me make it available. Edit the test options. Show, open and test, make available. Yes. Add as a new announcement. We'll do the 2. Everybody likes that. And we need to do it September 16th, right? Is that
Yes.
true? At 3:30. Before class. And let me submit. And you have the other one open already, the
Yes.
Wiley Adaptive. Let's see. Is Wiley Adaptive good? So if it's off, it's data management. Okay. So I think we have that due. And then let's go to the audit, just to make sure that everything looks good. Check and recheck, right? And if I check and recheck and going into the groups, I go into an example here, individual screen recording assignment and Zoom individual recording assignment. Okay. So I would put at least what you did, individual recording assignment program, team member program name, individual program name, showcase. And here's a sample group assignment. So another thing on the groups, let me just add that. So I guess now each group then, probably it's going to be easiest here. Each group would then have another folder. You can do it even now. Somebody in your group can now even do individual screen recording assignment. And then you can see here, Daniel Flores, he used OBS, and then put the price to here, OBS recording is linked below. Where you have it linked below, where is the link below? Daniel?
Above. It's the file. It's
So
the
it should
file.
be,
above.
so it should
Attached
be
files.
linked above,
Above.
not above,
Yes,
below,
that's
right?
correct.
So change that. I'm looking below. I can't find it below. Okay. So if I go to, for instance, group 1, right, first meeting. Okay, Ethan in first meeting. Okay. So these were Dominique, these are the second meeting. So in group 1 here, you never met together. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, it is.
Antonio? Okay. So we have here the group meeting. So we have here Dominique and Antonio. You met with Dominique?
Yeah. We me and Antonio met.
Okay, so
And,
put your
we
last names here. So
okay.
Ethan, rather, we're not waiters or waitresses. We have last names. So in this case, Ethan, blah, 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 Antonio, blah, 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 Dominique and Antonio here. Okay, and Michael's still in your group?
Yes.
Okay, so and then in the individual assignments here, Antonia, Ethan, Dominique. And I don't see Michael's here. Okay, and then you have it here. Okay, so what I wanted to put here, many times we do additional, if you do, hey, we've done an additional one. So if I go to group 2, I'm just showing you, if I go to group 2, right, that I have the cloud recording, then if there are things that you do more than one, put that as more than one, and what you showed in here, the takeaways and the challenges. And the Zoom individual assignments should be each individual. Okay. Rather than it should be your first name, last name in there. Any questions? So I think
Nikita had her hand up. I'm not sure.
okay. So let me just stop sharing.
No, it's okay. I'm fine. I figured it out.
Okay. Any other questions before we proceed? Nikita, it's okay?
I was just like asking if it matters if we end up using like the same thing to record as like someone else in a different group, since like
No, in a different group, it doesn't matter.
okay.
So we don't have to, we have enough to worry about our group. Excellent question. So
Okay.
your group, what the beauty here is, Nikita, you're going to be having additional assignments in your group. So this way, hey, my OBS wasn't good. Is there anything else? Oh, I just need a 5-minute. Let me try Loom. So you're working as a group to help each other, but you don't have to go through everybody, and everybody has to, we need 40 different ones. So if you have people in your group, Nikita,
Sorry, what?
how many people do you have in your group?
Oh, 4 in total.
4 in total. So have 4 different ones.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and what I suggest is even try something that you're not familiar with. So for instance, you're familiar with QuickTime. Let me try something else so I have more in my arsenal, like more in my toolkit. That you're able to do that. So Aaron, when you think about it, you then could, if you wanted to do a tutorial on Zoom and you wanted to show how breakout rooms were, guess what? Even when I record, when I go into each breakout room, Zoom doesn't record it for right now. But if I wanted to, and a lot of times that's important, what happens in a breakout room, it's not like Las Vegas should stay in Las Vegas. It should sometimes be able to have that wisdom be shared with other groups that we can have it. And then that way, Nikita, we know then when there are ever any issues coming out, or when your group really got it done well, you want to share it with everyone else, you can get credit, and you can get additional credit for you sharing how well you did that other assignment. Or this is where I got stuck. You can show somebody, this is exactly where I got stuck. Makes it useful. What do you think, Nikita?
Sounds good. Wait, but also like, are we each showing like everyone else in our group how we used our specific one, or is it just one person that we choose?
Yeah, you're gonna meet together and show the highlights. You don't have to go into as much as detail as you did in the individual, but you say, hey, this was really what I liked about this. This is what I didn't like. You know, like I use Loom and it's only 5 minutes, but what I like is I can do, it may be good, or I used another one that does like 1-minute clips, and that may be good to bring to TikTok or something, you know, or these can do part 1. So when you're meeting in the group, each one will be presenting, you'll share your screens, but you'll go kind of like the overview of it, or this is where I got stuck, or this is what I didn't like, or the free version I can only use for 5 minutes. If I got the full version for $9.99, I could get unlimited time. Just kind of show the highlights for people to do. Excellent questions, Nikita. Keep it up. What else? Any other questions beforehand? Okay, so I think we're ready. Okay, I'm going to end a bit early, so you can stay with me if you have additional questions. Daniel will, I guess later on, you'll be already grading the first sessions. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna start that tonight.
Yeah, well, you don't, so just so you know, Daniel will do the first sessions. He'll start grading. And then we'll meet if you have any other issues on Wednesday. We'll go into some more applications. I'll show you some more applications that we're going to need to do. We're going to be doing our next assignments. We're going to try to get into fintech, into finance. See, we'll get into some AI with and machine learning with forecasting. In trading, we'll use that as we'll go into big data. We'll talk about big data. So those of you having issues, if you're having issues with Wiley Plus, we have a number there. Where's the number, Daniel, for Wiley Plus issues?
It is in the Wiley reading and adaptive, and it is at the top for issues with adaptive assignment.
Can you show it to us?
I can
where
put
it
it in
is?
the chat if you'd like.
Yeah.
Sure. Give me a screen share?
Yes, please.
Sure.
And again, I want to thank Daniel for helping us out every time.
So for any questions
About
for
Wiley?
Wiley, it's in this Wiley reading and adaptive,
Okay.
this one.
Okay, and
Right
that
here.
you can text them.
And then, this,
Okay.
you can text,
Okay, they also have,
So-
I think,
via text.
via text. I think they also have a browser. If you can do Wiley Plus, I think chat, you can have them do it. And they can come
Yeah,
in and also do a screen share as well if you set up an appointment with them. They've done that with me, where they'll see there's issues on that. If you have problems with Zoom, there's 305-284, what is it? 6565. Do we have a number for that? Daniel?
I can find that if you'd like. I don't think anyone's had issues with Zoom though.
Yeah, we did. We had who had issues? Yeah, today we had some issues. Yeah, some of the students had issues where Emilio had issues with Zoom with the SSO, but he's gonna do that. So let us know, Emilio, what they said too, right? So we can we don't want to get stuck with this, so.
Yeah, I'll make sure to document it.
Yeah, document it and try calling today, call a couple times. They should be there 24/7, there's somebody there to answer for you. Again, he was having issues. Zoom, zoom.miami.edu wouldn't let him in. But Blackboard lets him in, right? So you can see kind of like your Blackboard credentials are good enough. Always issues. Okay, so let me share my screen. We'll do attendance. You'll stay with me if you have additional questions. Otherwise, we'll meet on Wednesday and we'll see what it is. So I'm in the wrong version. Let's see, I'm in this one, HI, go to attendance. Anything else I needed in the chat, Daniel?
Nope, I think that's it.
I think you added that. 6353. Stay with me if you have questions. Otherwise, meet with your group on deciding which software each of you want to take. You decide how you want to meet on that. That's the beauty. You don't have to meet physically on that. And
Thank
then you'll need it for next Monday to have all of it done. Okay, stay with me if you have additional questions.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Nikita, thanks for the good questions.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Professor,
Yes.
I had a quick question about just the group assignment that was due today.
Yeah, what's the question?
So like I had set like a time to meet with my group at 2 p.m. and then my quiz like ran late. So by the time I got into like the Zoom, they were already like halfway done, and I didn't want to make them like restart it. So
Okay, so did you go halfway in?
No, I didn't want to interrupt them. So so what I did was I did the group project with I don't know if you know Sai. He took your class last semester. So I did like
Yeah.
I
So
did the whole project. I did the
So
whole project
Sai's
pretty much by
gonna, so
myself.
Sai's gonna be teaching assistant, or what is he? You can tell him he
No.
can come by.
No. I just meant like I wasn't able to do it with my group members, so I
Okay,
uploaded it
okay.
with
So what
another.
I suggest you do for next time is
Mhm.
even go, stuff happens, right? We take the quizzes longer. One is I give you credit for finding a solution, number one. Number
Mhm.
two, next time is even interrupt, you know?
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? And tell them, you know, send them you have everybody's number so you can send them even a text or something and say, I'm going to enter, or let them know. So for
Okay.
now, now I appreciate you've uploaded it, right, as a group. Next time, try now to get with your group and do the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind next
Yeah,
time.
you know what I mean? Keep
Yeah.
it in mind. Yeah, there's always issues. But
Okay.
today, set up with your group at least which software you're going to use, and then set up a time where you all meet together to
Okay.
end up doing the full one, and make it at a time that maybe not so close to when you're going to have a quiz. You know what I mean? Make it on the weekend or something,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
something, or in the evening when everybody's not going to be so jam-packed with, you know, with quizzes. So just let them know, hey, that's tight. If you
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
okay, but I appreciate that you know what I mean? You got it done.
Mhm. Okay.
That's
Thank you.
positive. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. And send my regards to Sai.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Okay.
Connor
What
has
else?
the hand raised.
Who?
Connor.
Me, Connor.
Okay. Okay, what's up, Connor?
I missed the check-in for attendance.
Okay, so Daniel will be so kind.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Go down.
Okay. Thank you.
I missed it too.
Hold on. Connor and Ashton, you both missed it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take care of you both.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure. Okay. Ethan, what's up?
Hey there. I think I already know the answer to this question, but is the Wiley Interactive included in the course pack? Because I did the free trial and I used